As chair of the commission, I call this meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to order at 10:03 a.m. This Zoom webinar is live streamed on YouTube on the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission YouTube channel. For anyone in the public watching who would prefer to watch via a different platform than they currently are, please visit our social media at Redistricting MI. Our live stream today includes closed captioning. Closed captioning, ASL interpretation, and Spanish, Arabic, and Bengali translation services will be provided for effective participation in this meeting. Email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodations may also contact redistricting@michigan.gov. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at www.michigan.gov/MICRC for viewing at a later date. This meeting is also being transcribed, and those closed caption transcripts will be made available and posted on the michigan.gov/MICRC website and written public comment submissions. There is also a public comment portal that may be accessed by visiting michigan.gov/MICRC. This portal can be utilized to post maps and comments, which can be viewed by both the commission and the public. Members of the media who may have questions before, during, or after the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, Executive Director for the Commission, at woodse3@michigan.gov or 517-331-6309. For the public watching and the public record, I will turn to Department of State to take note of the commissioners present.
Good morning, commissioners. Please say present when I call your name. Please also announce during roll call if you are attending the meeting remotely and where you are attending from by stating the county, city, township, or village and state from which you are attending. I'll call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Doug Clark.
Present, and I'm attending this meeting from Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Juanita Curry. Anthony Eade.
Present, attending from Detroit, Michigan.
Brittany Kellum. Rhonda Lang.
Present, attending from Osceola County, Michigan.
Steve Lett.
Present, attending from Grand Traverse County.
Cynthia Orton.
Present, attending remotely from Battle Creek, Michigan.
MC Rothhorn.
Good morning. Attending remotely from Lansing, Michigan.
Rebecca Zatella.
Attending remotely from Wayne County, Michigan.
Janice Follett.
Present, attending remotely from Highland Township, Michigan.
Aaron Wagner.
Present, attending remotely from Charlotte, Michigan.
Richard Weiss.
Present, attending remotely from Saginaw Township, Saginaw, Michigan.
Dustin Witches.
Present, attending remotely from Cook County, Illinois.
11 commissioners are present and there is a quorum.
Thanks, Ms. Reinhardt. As a reminder to the public watching, you can view the agenda at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. I would now entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion to approve it by Commissioner Lett and a second by Commissioner Rothhorn. Is there any discussion or debate on the motion? Hearing none, it is moved and seconded that the agenda be adopted. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. The ayes prevail. The motion is adopted. Yeah, without objection, we will begin the public comment pertaining to the agenda topics portion of the meeting. Hearing no objection, we will now proceed with public comment. Today, we have no individual has signed up for public comment. So we'll move on from there. That concludes our public comments section. Please feel free to email public comments to the commission at redistricting@michigan.gov. Unfinished business. Next on our agenda is the unfinished business portion of the agenda. First on the agenda will be section 5A, fiscal year 24 budget status. Without objection, I will ask MICRC Executive Director Edward Woods III to present this item. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. I was sharing my screen. We are you able to see it?
Yes.
Excellent. I want to recognize two distinguished commissioners who are out knocking on doors, 56 doors, none other than our Vice Chair, Commissioner Cynthia Orton, and our another commissioner, Commissioner MC Rothhorn. And as you know, with the fiscal year 24 budget status, we are trying to make sure in a proactive manner that we're included in the front end versus having to use the legal system to get us included like we have the last time. And we're delayed funding for about 4.5 months. So we have a three-pronged approach: visit with state representatives and senators, communication with state budget office that Commissioner Clark and I, our chair, is working on, and then the dialogue with Attorney General's office that we're working on with our local counsel in conjunction with the MICRC legal counsel, Commissioner Lett. That has been our approach that we are using. We don't really have any new updates at this time. We have responded to inquiries, whether it was Commissioner Boland, who had Commissioner Boland, Representative Boland, and following up with Commissioner Orton, Commissioner Rothhorn, as well as following up with regards to the amount of money that was requested from the state budget office, as well as the Attorney General's office. And what we've been sharing is we just want to follow the Constitution. The commission followed the Constitution in developing the maps, fair maps, and we just want the Constitution to be followed as it relates to funds. So that's just a simple message. As you already know, we get 25% of the general fund, general purpose money from the Michigan Department of State. So this is this is our three-pronged approach. This is what we're doing. They're expected to approve the budget by the end of this month. So we're still trying to knock on doors and follow up to make sure that we are included on the front end with regards to that. Another thing I'd like to share with you is we did have, move our over there and then, but this is what we passed out to each of the senators and representatives who were on the appropriations committee, as well as the top leadership positions. We did a black and white postcard. We personalized it by either putting the representative's name, as you see here, or we included the senator's name as you see, instead of representative, and it had their names. It was a mail merge file, and we dropped it off at all of the offices with regards to that. So once again, just wanted to share an update with you with regards to that, but also provide time for our Vice Chair, Commissioner Orton, and Commissioner Rothhorn with regards to the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Director Woods. Appreciate it. That concludes our unfinished business. Next on the agenda is new business items, number 6A, legal rate increases. Without objection, I will ask Commissioner Steve Lett, MICRC Legal Liaison. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Commissioner Lett.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get my other computer working so I could, where are we at in the agenda?
We're at the legal rate increases, item 6A.
Okay. We received a request from Baker as well as Fink and the VRA attorney for an increase. Baker, and you should have received this materials, asked for an increase of a substantial amount in some cases, in particularly Kate's case, about 25%. And Richard, find my document. And Richard Relier, roughly the same amount. We thought that was a little high. It was well past the amount of inflation, even though inflation has been high. Their argument was that they had not had any increases since the initiation of the contract, which is true. There are provisions in the contract that provide for them, all of the attorneys, to have a rate increase. We met with Baker, specifically with Kate and Richard, and went over what we thought were issues for us. Basically, that they were a little on the high side. So after a discussion, we said, we proposed, and subject obviously to the commission's approval, but we proposed that they reduce the rate in Kate's case from $6.70 an hour to $7.60 an hour, instead of the $835 an hour. And in Richard's case, from $6.70 to $7.60, same as with Kate, versus $7.80. They put on there as their standard rate for comparison, which are substantially higher. I would say that standard rates are just what they happen to publish. That doesn't mean that any of their clients are paying the standard rates. Rates are negotiable at any time. The other item I draw to your attention is Dima, who's an associate in Washington, relatively new to their firm, having came on in 2021. She was added in. They added her in and neglected to tell us. Once we figured that one out, we went back, got her CV, and looked it over. She certainly appears to be qualified. Additionally, she's doing a lot of the work and has done a lot of the work for the case in Michigan. Her rate is actually going down from $485 to $435. And the explanation is certainly they brought her on at whatever rate they were paying her at the time without letting us know. So she's getting a rate reduction. So the rates are there. Inflation comes into play. They were requesting rates from May 1st, effective May 1st to the end of the year. We reached a tentative agreement, and I say tentative because you all can decide what you decide. But at the end of the year, for a further rate increase. And we'll take a look at it then and see what they're asking for and what we would be agreeable to. So that having been said, we'll deal with Baker first, and then we can deal with Fink and with Bruce. Any questions? Discussion.
Commissioner Rothorn, do you have a question?
Just want to really appreciate the negotiation and that we just didn't accept it the way it is, and appreciate the how you walked us through it, Steve. Just yeah, Steve and Edward, whoever's on the team, Doug, just thank you. And Cynthia even, I don't know, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wagner.
It was all Cynthia's idea if you don't like it.
Commissioner Wagner, you have the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Commissioner Lett, I have a question. As you said, rates are negotiable, but I wanted to know what justifications beyond inflation do they give for their rate increase? Are we looking at them putting in more hours in the near future? What's going on with that, please?
No, well, no and yes. Yes, they gave more. Their justification is this. Law firms, generally speaking, rates have been going up all across the country, not necessarily just in Cleveland and Washington. So their justification, I think their primary justification really is, hey, we held our rates from the inception of the contract till now. And our rates, as far as a law firm goes, with our other clients, and of course, they're not telling us, number one, who their other clients are, nor what the rates are for their other clients, but that we have been increasing our rates across the board to all of our clients. And we felt, they felt that now was the time that they should increase their rates here. Now, are there more hours? There certainly have been more work being done. There's been several very contentious motions filed that has required a lot of research. There'll be a hearing coming up that they'll be attending. And then the rest of the work after that motion, which we assume will not be granted for either side. So we'll have to move on with preparing for trial. So yes, there'll be more work coming up, but that's not primarily a reason to increase their rate. So I think there are two big things is, look, inflation is where it is. And we have held the line on our rates. And so now is the time that they should be increased as a matter, I say as a matter of course, but you know, really in the law profession, unless we're in a deflationary period, which we're not, law firms typically raise their rates annually or somewhere around that case. So I don't know if that's not necessarily a satisfactory answer, but it's real life.
Commissioner Wagner?
I understand that, Commissioner Lett. I just think with the economy the way it is and the fact that most Americans can't increase their income in that fashion, that it should come more in line with what the cost of living actually is. Like, I'd rather see it and inflation rates. Like if we're sitting at 12.5% inflation, let's see their income come up that far. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagner. Commissioner Lang, I can't see if you have a comment or not.
I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Eid.
Hello, everyone. I'm just wondering, do we have a projection on how this increase would affect the overall budget going forward? I know it's kind of hard to say because we don't know how many hours are going to be incurred, but did they, is there a projection of some sort?
Edward, I don't know that, I did not do a projection. I can tell you, just looking at the percentage increases, it's going to go up somewhere in the neighborhood of 12%.
Executive Director Woods, do you?
Right. Commissioner Eder, really depends on the hours. We don't have the hours right now in terms of May or June. You do know we have a court case in July. So it really depends on the hours. But if you take a look at the document, I share the budget remaining. So at least you kind of know where we are as of April 30th. And I can share that on the screen so that everybody can see it. But this is a projected in terms of where we are in terms of our budget and what's been approved by the commission. So if we go down. You look at the budget here, for fiscal year 22, we expended 1.1 for 23 through April 30th, 805. So our total expenses has been 1.9 million. Our contract value is 3 million, and we have 1.1 remaining that has been approved by the commission. Obviously, the commission can appropriate more funds, but this is what we have right now.
Yeah, Anthony, when I say 10 or 12%, that's whatever the hours turn out to be. If we were at the old contract price, it would be 10 or 12% lower than what it'll be at the new contract price, depending on how many hours they put in.
Yeah, I think my main question is, and this is probably for Edward, I think that they've done a phenomenal job. We've won every case we've been in so far, knock on wood. But can we afford this increase? I think is the main question.
I mean, yes, we could absorb it into the budget is the answer. But we also, we have an avenue with regards to requesting funds through the legislature as it relates to legal costs. As Commissioner Led already shared, this is normal in the legal profession in terms of the increase with regards to that. And we need them to defend our maps if the commission, deems this necessary. So the answer is yes, there are funds available, but that whether or not the commission wants to do the increase is up to the will of the commission.
Are there any other comments? Commissioner Rothorn.
I just want to suggest that we need an alternative if we want to sort of continue to debate. I guess what I mean is, I think the team has done a good job of sort of debating and lowering the cost. I think there's an unfortunate precedent with contractors in general that state government, you just raise the budget, right? This is the cities and the country's money. I said the city and the country. Yeah, the states, right? It's our state citizens, us, paying for this. And I think we each want to be responsible. And what I want to suggest is that we are going against precedent, right? If we try to say, hey, we don't want to accept this, right? And we're asking our team to go back and negotiate it. So I just want to offer that I think it is I think it's worth trying. And I think we have to sort of understand what are the consequences, yeah, where are we? Do we have another law firm and that sort of thing is what I'm imagining trying to where's our leverage?
Well, let me go back in history for a minute, Commissioner Rothorn. When we initially put out an RFP for this work, we got no responses. So we had to put out a second RFP and we only got one response, and that was Baker Hostetler. And we elected to go forward with them at that point in time because it was time critical at that point. So we got ourselves into that situation. I guess I have a question, and I don't know if Executive Director Woods can address this, but was there any mention in the purchase order, the original purchase order, that rates would increase over time?
Yes.
So that was part of the purchase order.
Correct.
I'm sure it
The
didn't-
contract.
Part of the contract, okay. So we should accept that as we go forward, in my opinion. Commissioner Wagner?
I just want to say, I think they've done a fantastic job at negotiating rates, but I would still like to see them come in at, where inflation rate is right now. I'd like to see us go back to the table. And if DEMA has been doing most of the work, I'd rather see that person get paid more. However it works out. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? All right, before we move on to the Voting Rights Act Council and the Litigation Council, do I have a motion regarding Baker Hostetler?
I would move that we approve the rates that have been presented for Baker Hostetler.
I'll
Seconded.
second that.
Okay, we've got a
Commission-
motion.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Commissioner Clark,
Dr.
Commissioner Lett, we just want to make sure for clarity with regards to the motion that it's retroactive to May 1st.
That's correct. That was what we discussed, beginning May 1st. And it will be, I believe that's for all of them.
We've got a motion made by
Correct.
Commissioner Lett and a second by Commissioner Satella. The motion is move that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission approves the rate increase for Baker Hostetler Litigation Council as presented retroactive to May 1st, 2023. Okay. Can I ask the Secretary of State to do a roll call vote on this, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, please indicate your support of the motion as it is presented on the screen with a yes or a no when I call on you. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Rhonda Lang,
No.
Steve Lett,
Yes.
Cynthia Orton,
Yes.
MC Rothorn,
Yes.
Rebecca Satella,
Yes.
Janice Villette,
Yes.
Aaron Wagner,
A strong nay for me.
Richard Weiss,
Yes.
Dustin Witches,
No.
Doug Clark,
Yes.
Anthony Ede,
Yes.
one moment, please. By a vote of 8 yes to 3 no's, the motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. The ayes prevail and the motion is adopted. Commissioner Lett, could you continue on? And I think we have a similar discussion with the Voting Rights Act Council.
As much fun as I'm having, I will continue on. Bruce Adelson has also asked for a rate increase from 425 to 465, a 9% increase. He likewise had not requested any increases up until this date. Therefore, we're presenting what he's requesting. It's obviously a little lower than what Baker was asking. He has not done a lot of work on the case recently, but as we move forward into the trial phase, he will obviously do quite a bit more as our expert, as an expert witness. Therefore, unless you have any questions, I would be happy to try to answer them.
Are there any comments among the commissioners? Commissioner Lang, do you have any?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Ede?
So you said this one's at 9%, it's a little bit more in line with the rate of inflation, correct?
Well, it depends on what you consider the rate of inflation, Anthony. If you look at there's about 20 different rates of inflation depending on what you're looking at. But yeah, it's in line.
Any other questions, Commissioner Reed? No. Commissioner Orton?
Yeah, so kind of back to what MC said when we were talking about Baker is what are our alternatives? You know, I feel like Bruce is the one that was there when we were mapping. He's the one that we took expert advice from. What are the alternatives of not keeping him on?
What are I didn't hear that last part, Cynthia.
Just what are the alternatives to, if we don't keep Bruce on, if we don't agree to this? I don't see an alternative.
That's very prescient of you, because there really isn't one. As far as Bruce goes, we would end up having to call him as a witness anyway if we severed our relationship with him, because he was there, so he's a witness. So we would have to call him, and guess what he's going to charge? So, and I don't know that there's any reason that we would consider not continuing with him. Certainly I think there are more individuals out there who would be equally as capable of giving an opinion at this stage of what our position is in the case. That does, so we'd be paying them and be paying Bruce too. That doesn't make a lot of sense. No offense.
Commissioner Wagner, do you have a comment?
I do. I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Adelson and Fink Prusik for being more reasonable as to rate increases. I would even go so high as to support a up to 12.5% increase, given their work they've done. So thank you very much.
Okay. Are there any other comments from the commissioners? Okay,
I'm sure if that's what the commission wants to do, Bruce would be more than happy to accept it.
Do I have any motion from the floor? Commissioner Reed?
Yeah, I'll move to have the motion as it originally was, the 9%.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Ede and seconded from Commissioner Orton. And that motion is moved that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission approves the rate increase for Federal Compliance Consulting LLC, Voting Rights Act Council as presented, retroactive to May 1st, 2023. Okay, can I ask the Secretary of State to do a roll call vote, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, please indicate your support of the motion with a yes or a no. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, this time starting with Steve Lett,
Yes.
Cynthia Orton,
Yes.
MC Rothorn,
Yes.
Rebecca Satella,
Yes.
Janice Follett,
Yes.
Aaron Wagner,
Yes.
Richard Weiss,
Yes.
Dustin Witches,
Yes.
Doug Clark,
Yes.
Anthony Ede,
Yes.
Rhonda Lang.
No.
By a vote of 10 yes to 1 no, the motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. The ayes prevail and the motion is adopted. We have one other subject relative to rate increases. I'm turning it over to Commissioner Lett to discuss litigation counsel.
Okay, the next one is the Fink Law Firm, and the rates are set out there, 6% for Dave, 7% for Nathan, Philip, David, and Glenn. We did have some discussion with the Fink Law Firm, and this is what they felt was where they wanted to be with their rates. They certainly indicated, I mean, we discussed with them also the Baker rates, et cetera. They said they would be more than willing to accept the same increase as Baker. However, they didn't in the end do that. That was rather in jest. They're as far as at least I'm concerned, and I think the commission is concerned, Fink is doing an excellent job. Nate is contacting the state powers to be to try to get our budget through. I think he's making some progress. You never can tell with the legislative branch, but I would certainly go along with the request as they have presented. They're in a little different boat in that the rates in Michigan are going to be lower than the rates in DC or Cleveland or any of the large metropolitan areas. And while Detroit's our largest metropolitan area, it doesn't rank up there with DC or Chicago or Cleveland or Philadelphia. Detroit's not a silk stocking law firm city, so their rates are going to be lower. But unless there's any further questions, that's where they're at. I would recommend approval.
Okay, any comments from the commissioners? I see none. Do you have any comment, Commissioner Lang?
No comments. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Hearing no comment, do I have a motion?
Yeah, Edward would put the motion up. I would make the motion.
Yeah, if we could get that emotion put up on the screen.
I would move acceptance as stated on the screen.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion is made by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Witches. The motion reads, move that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission approves the rate increase for Fink Bresic Local Council as presented, retroactive to May 1st, 2023. Okay, can we have a roll call vote by the Secretary of State?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, once more, please state your support of the motion with a yes or a no. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Cynthia Orton,
Yes.
MC Rothhorn,
Yes.
Rebecca Satella,
Yes.
Janice Villette, could you confirm your vote?
You can't
Commissioner
hear you,
Villette?
Janice.
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Aaron Wagner,
Yes.
Richard Weiss,
Yes.
Dustin Witches,
Yes.
Doug Clark,
Yes.
Anthony Ede,
Yes.
Rhonda Lang,
No.
Steve Lett.
Yes.
By a vote of 10 yes and 1 no, the motion carries.
The ayes prevail and the motion is adopted. Okay, that concludes section 6A. May I ask Commissioner Lett and Commissioner Woods to notify the appropriate companies of the decision of the commission? If you could
Certainly.
coordinate that between the two of you, I'd appreciate that. Next on our agenda is new business agenda item 6B, modifying the executive director's contract. Without objection, I would like to speak to this item. Hearing no objection, I will proceed. During the course of the last 3 or 4 months, I've been working with Commissioner Woods. And one of the I've noticed two things. That I think impact, the contract we have with him. And number one is we cannot, and I'm not saying this of all the vendors, but we cannot get timely invoices from the vendors to be able to pay the bills. So that timeliness combined with the problem that the issue that we're having with the legislature and ensuring that the funds are available for next year. I present a problem in my mind that we need to extend his contract by 30 days in order to ensure that all the bills are paid and that we don't have to go back and deal with the legislature again. I think we have a motion that's if we could get it on the screen, Executive Director Woods. I see, we originally have the contract at the additional 30 days from when we deactivate the commission, and I would like to extend that to 60 days. The motion being that move that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission modifies the executive director's contract to work from 30 days to 60 days after dormancy. Okay, are there any comments to that? Commissioner Rothron.
Sorry, it sounds like you were reading the motion and I would second the motion so we can move into debate.
Okay, and that the motion is seconded. Any other comments, Commissioner Lett? We can't hear you, Commissioner Lett.
I would propose an amendment, and it would read, modify executive director's contract to work from 30, and I'm assuming days, I can't read that after that, or to such other time as may be necessary to wrap up the business of the commission.
That in my mind extends it indefinitely. And then we need to define what the business of the commission is. Is it just the financial portion or not?
Well, whatever would be necessary.
Okay.
You can
Yeah,
insert the word, you can insert, certainly I would agree to insert the word necessary to finalize the business of the commission.
And we have an amendment. Do we have a second to that amendment? Okay, I see Commissioner Rothorn.
Yeah, it makes sense because I think we want to do this once. I think we're in the right. We don't know. It's hard to anticipate. And I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Clark, that we may want a little bit more control because we are as the commission, we are the boss, but it's so hard to convene unless we actually have a director who can do it. So it does, I see the wisdom in Commissioner Lett's proposal, and I think it's wise to, amend it.
So you second that?
I am.
Okay, so we have an adopted amendment by Commissioner Lett, seconded by Commissioner Rothorn. Any other comments? Commissioner Orton.
Yeah, I agree. I like that idea, but somehow we need to figure out the wording so that there is a finalized time, and yet it leaves it open. Like if all the bills don't come in by 60 days or whatever, it leaves it to whenever he can wrap it up. I don't know how to word that.
I think, Ms. Reinhardt.
Yes, just a point of clarification regarding Robert's rules. So a motion to amend was made. However, I don't believe that the initial motion was ever made. So there was no motion at that point to amend. Your executive director placed a suggested motion on the screen for you, but to my knowledge, no one actually made that motion. So therefore a motion to amend isn't necessary.
Oh, Commissioner Clark made the motion. It was seconded by Commissioner Rothorn.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you. That clarifies that. Thank you.
Fine. Any other comments? Commissioner Ede,
But we still need to vote on whatever amendments.
correct.
Correct.
Commissioner Lang, do you have any comments?
I do. How far out are we looking right now? I mean, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know how long this litigation is going to take. So wouldn't it make more sense to do some type of motion like this once we have a better idea of what the future is going to look like? I think we're just we're putting the cart in front of the horse, in my opinion.
I appreciate the comment. My thoughts on that would be, we could deactivate very quickly and may not have time to deal with this. And so that's why I brought it up today and got it on today's agenda. I felt it would be in our best interest to get it set.
If Sarah
Any other
could,
comments, Commissioner Orton?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I agree with Doug that if this is the last legal case that we have right now, and if it were to be dismissed, then we're done.
Yeah.
And so we need to have something in place. For the
We'd
bills and
actually
things
be
we
done
got.
before the next meeting. Yeah,
It's possible.
which we would have to convene anyways to vote on deactivating, but yeah, it'd be a last minute thing. Commissioner Lett?
yeah, I just want to clarify the language. I think modify executive director's contract to work from 30 days to whatever time is necessary to complete the work of the commission after dormancy. To whatever time is necessary to complete. I think that says it all, but somebody wanted a word in there. I guess I like that language. I think it says what we mean it to say. If there's another word that I think we were going to put in the necessary work of the commission, I think I agreed to that, putting in the necessary.
Okay, we're changing the verbiage right now. And I'll read it once it comes up on the screen. Okay, it says the motion, the adopted the motion that was brought forward by Commissioner Lett, the modified one, says that move that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission modifies the executive director's contract to work from the 30 days to whatever time is necessary to complete the work of the commission after dormancy. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Lett. Commissioner Wagner, you have a comment?
I just wanted to say, I would really like to see a final end point, just because I don't want to see us, where are the commissioners now, 10 years from now? So if we could get it end, like I'm good with 45 days, but that gives Executive Director Woods a goal to accomplish within a time period. So if we're still in the comment phase, that's mine. Thank you.
In other words, Commissioner Wagner, you don't want it open-ended like this.
I don't want it open-ended like that. No, thank you.
Okay. Any comments relative to that? Commissioner Lett?
Oh,
Commissioner Rothorn?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, I appreciate that we do want to have a close, but it doesn't feel like it's in our power. And I think that's what I heard Commissioner, Doug say, is that, right, we get these bills when we get them. And I hear that, you're right, Executive Director Woods can actually ask for them. And I'm guessing that he's asking for them right now and we're still not getting them. And so what happens is, I think that there's not a lot of power or agency that we have. We are at the will of some other people. And it feels like that's kind of where I think we can make sure that we're pushing things. And I trust that Director Woods will do that. I don't think that we're going to be taken advantage of. And I appreciate that we want to have an end point, But I think that's where the dormancy, when what we call dormancy, will be initiated at some point. And yeah, it's just completing the necessary work to actually fulfill dormancy that feels like what we're trying to discuss here.
Commissioner Wagner, you have another comment?
I did, but MC talked so long, I forgot what it was. Sorry, MC.
Commissioner Witches, you have a comment?
Yeah, wouldn't I mean if we're not getting the bills that we need to pay and we do go dormant and bills get sent in, wouldn't that by default fall onto the Secretary of State to ensure that those get paid?
Yeah, it's just not the bills. It's also if we have to go back and deal with the legislature as well.
Yeah,
we
but
don't
if we're dormant, it wouldn't make a difference. All
Yeah,
those
it
all
would make a
those
difference. It would make a difference if the bills need to get paid.
correct. Yeah, but wouldn't that fall onto the Secretary of State at that particular point if we do in fact are dormant? We're not going to continue to just come out of dormancy just to ensure that a bill's paid. That's kind of silly.
No, we won't come out of dormancy. The executive director will just take care of it.
But that still doesn't answer my question. Why wouldn't that just fall onto the Secretary of State at that particular point?
Theoretically, it could. Ms. Reinhardt, do you happen to have a comment on that?
I'd have to consult with Mike and our finance department on that, but I mean, it makes sense that if you all are dormant, that likely it would be either our team or the team that currently handles payment of your bills would handle that. Yeah.
Commissioner Lett, do you have another comment?
Well, I think, and I really haven't given it a lot of thought until right this second, in going dormant, the dormancy, we go dormant upon the completion of all of the work of the commission. And in this case, what's keeping us open are the lawsuits. Once all of those are settled, then we would be in a position to go dormant. But before we do that, we have to complete all of the work of the commission, part of which is paying the bills. So I could easily see that there would come a point in time where we are in fact not even meeting, just waiting for all the bills to be paid and then have one final meeting to go dormant. I don't think that, the case is in on Monday and we are dormant Tuesday. I don't think that's going to be the way it's going to work. So that would be my comment on it.
Yeah, my opinion on that, Commissioner Lett, would be that we would not keep the commission active, just waiting for bills to be paid. That the executive director would complete that work for us. We would and we would go into dormancy almost immediately. Commissioner Wagner, did you have a comment?
I did. I remembered what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Executive Director Woods, how far out are we, realistically right now on our bills, please? And thank you.
Sure. Right now we're missing bills. We require with bills details. It's not just hours worked, but what was actually done with those hours worked. So we're behind on bills from our mapping drawer right now. Actually 2 months behind. We do not have our bills with our payroll vendor right now. And you'll see the estimates when I provide the May. We're also do not have the IT bill is an internal bill that is done through DTMB on the state that usually comes every month. So we know about that one. And hold on, I'm trying to see. I mean, the goal would still be to do it within 30 days. I don't want anyone to think that that's not the goal with regards to what we're doing and what we're aggressively doing. But we just don't have the cooperation. We don't have the litigation council bill for May right now as well. And I think they were probably waiting to see what would happen with their rate increase because it was going back to May 1, whereas the others just submitted it anyway, and then we'll do an adjustment. So once again, the goal is still 30 days. I think what you're hearing is providing some time with regards to enabling that to get done and completing the work of the commission, which would be everyone mailing in their computers, their cell phones, their paper files. All of that has to be done. I think some of you have boxes. Don't know if you need additional boxes, but all of that would have to take place. And if you don't have boxes, we would send boxes to you with regards to that, but there will be a closeout that will need to take place as well. But once again, the goal is 30 days. I mean, let's not take away from that. It's just everyone might not be cooperative with regards to that. And that's really kind of the will of the commission. Hopefully that answers your question, Commissioner Wagner.
Commissioner Witches.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the 30-day item for the executive director. I just don't like the open-ended piece of it, as been stated. But then again, I also fall back to my initial thought. Well, if the vendors are being uncooperative and sending in their invoices for us to pay, I fail to see how that is our issue. And with that being said, if they down now, we can send something out to them. It's like you have 30 days after we go dormant to make sure that your final invoices are sent our way. If not, you get to deal with the Secretary of State to ensure that you get paid. I fail to see how it's our responsibility to ensure that things get sent to us on time from our vendors.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments?
I just want to reiterate from a process standpoint, all the bills and the process of the bills being paid is outlined in our rules and procedure. And so we might need to change that if we're going to allow the Secretary of State to use MICRC funds to pay bills. And so I know Ms. Reinhardt is going back to her team, but also want you to know that we also have a process for how bills are being paid. Commissioner Clark, I think Commissioner Witches kind of brings a point. And so if we want to just kind of move this thing along, I'm very comfortable sending out letters to our delinquent vendors, letting them know what's taking place. And if people are okay with the original motion of 60 days, I think that's more than enough time to get it done, just in case there's something that happens that's unexpected.
All right, well, we do have an amended motion on the table, which we have got to vote on. And maybe you could bring that back up on the screen, please. And I'll read that and then ask for a roll call vote. The amended motion is moved that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission modifies the executive director's contract to work for 30 days to whatever time is necessary to complete the work of the commission after dormancy. I have one additional comment from Commissioner Reed.
Whoops. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So we haven't voted on the amendment yet. So first we have to vote on the if we're going to accept the amended language, that's going to pass or fail.
Yes.
If it passes, we then vote on the motion. If it fails, we go back to the original wording. Just want to make sure we're clear.
Correct.
Mr. Eid, the amended motion is what the chair read.
Yeah, let's have the amended motion up there first.
It is.
Okay, yes, it is. I'm sorry. That's the one I just read. Okay. So can we get a roll call vote on this as well?
Certainly, Mr. Chair.
Debate.
Commissioners, please indicate your support of the motion with a yes or a no. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Rebecca Satella.
So just clarifying, I'm voting on what's on the screen.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Janice Follett,
Yes.
Aaron Wagner,
No.
Richard Weiss,
Yes.
Dustin Witches,
No.
Doug Clark,
Yes.
Anthony Ede,
No.
Rhonda Lang,
No.
Steve Lett,
Yes.
Cynthia Orton,
No.
MC Rothorn.
No.
By a vote of 5 yes to 6 no, the motion to amend fails.
Nays have it, and the adopted motion fails. So now let's vote on the original motion. But can you bring that up on the screen?
I think I could read it.
Give me a little time because I got to change the wording back, Commissioner Clark.
Okay,
I have the motion if it's helpful.
okay, if you could read it, Ms. Reinhardt.
Certainly. The original motion is move that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission modifies the executive director's contract to work from 30 days to 60 days after dormancy. It was moved by Commissioner Lett and supported by Commissioner Rothorn.
Okay, thank you. Could we take a roll call vote on that, please?
Certainly. Commissioners, please indicate your support of the motion with a yes or a no. I will call on commissioners in alphabetical order, starting with Janice Follett,
Yes.
Aaron Wagner,
Yes.
Richard Weiss,
Yes.
Dustin Witches,
Yes.
Doug Clark,
Yes.
Anthony Ede,
Yes.
Rhonda Lang,
No.
Steve Lett,
Yes.
Cynthia Orton,
Yes.
MC Rothorn,
Yes.
Rebecca Satella.
Yes.
By a vote of 10 yes to 1 no, the motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. The ayes prevail and the motion is adopted. All right, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the May 18th minutes. These draft minutes have been provided to the commission before this meeting and are posted on the website. Are there any edits to these minutes?
Chair
Commissioner-
Clark?
Commissioner Orton? Yeah. I'll get you in a minute, Commissioner Lang.
Maybe she's going to say the same thing. I think that we need to do the fiscal year May financial report first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. All right, let me back up. Next on the agenda is the new business agenda item 6C, fiscal year 23 May financial report. Without objection, I will ask our executive director to present. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Are you guys able to see the screen? Wonderful. This is just a list, a partial list of expenses. We still need to do reconciliation once that takes place, but meeting expenses at $690. This consists of the sign language interpretation, the closed caption. Just so you know, this happens every month. Travel is our meetings with the legislature and what have you associated. The cell phone bills, the cell phone bill. We have local counsel, which is Frank Brussick, VRA counsel, which is federal compliance. The printing with the maps, the county maps that we have that are also online, as well as the postcards that were delivered to the legislative offices. Financial services is Insights 3. You see the commission salaries. Supplies mainly dealt with postage and mailings, postage, and staff. A salary reflects the staff. That is the total expenses, but it does not include the IT that comes through DTMB. It does not include the litigation counsel bill. As I shared, they were probably waiting to see what would happen today with the commission's vote, so they would just submit the invoice at one time. It doesn't include the mapping consultant, and it doesn't include any payroll or expenses for May 29, 30, and 31. So this is where it is. So you'll get a full report at our next meeting, but I just kind of wanted you to know where we are. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
I see no questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Lang, did you have the same comment that Commissioner Morton had?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Executive Director Woods. Now let's move on to the approval of the minutes, which is our next agenda item. Is being the approval of the May 18th minutes. These draft minutes have been provided to the commission before this meeting and are posted on the website. Are there any edits to these minutes?
Move to adopt.
Seeing none? Fine. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 18th?
So moved.
Chair Clark,
Yes, Commissioner Lang.
just to let you know, I'm going to abstain from voting because I was not at that meeting and I have not been able to watch the entire replay of the meeting.
Could you repeat that, please?
I stated that I'm going to abstain from voting
Oh,
to approve
okay.
them because I was not at the meeting.
Okay, fine. Any other comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 18th? I have one from Commissioner Rothorn.
Dustin, I think Commissioner Witches motioned and I'll second.
Oh, Commissioner Witches put forth the motion and Commissioner Rothorn seconded him. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Okay, the ayes prevail and the minutes are approved.
Commissioner Clark, we should probably call for the abstention that Commissioner Lang wanted to ask for.
All right, Commissioner Lang abstained from the vote because she was not present at the May 18th meeting.
So we'll just let the record reflect that she's
Yeah, let
abstaining.
the record reflect that, please.
Okay, very good.
Let's move on to the executive director report. There is an executive director report today. Without objection, I will ask MICRC Executive Director Woods to provide his report. Please proceed, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark, and we will put it up on the screen. May website stats for your review. 8,100 page views, mostly are the final district maps, as well as the district maps by county. DTMB through MDOS has provided additional information with regards to where people are downloading our maps, and I thought you might find this interesting. Obviously, the bulk of that is coming from Michigan. But then we have Virginia, Ohio, Illinois, and New York with regards to that. So once again, people are taking a look at what's taking place here in Michigan and doing that. We had a meet and greet with Abacus Service Corporation. Commissioner Curry and I did that last month. You will start receiving notifications. I know there was requests to receive notifications when transactions were taking place, and you will be seeing something on Thursdays with regards to confirming payroll that will be sent to you individually. So just wanted to share that with you. As it relates to archiving updates, we did have a meeting with the state of Michigan, and I'll share with you the form that they're looking at for with regards to that. They're moving expeditiously on this item as well, because they know we might be going into dormancy. And so they want to make sure that they have the items as much as they can. So we're moving quickly on that. Yesterday, I sent out an email to commissioners with regards to computer updates. I can't emphasize enough the importance of doing that. So if you saw the email, I provided the instructions on how to do it. If you can do that, on a weekly basis, it will be very good in terms of keeping everything intact as relates to the computer updates and making sure cybersecurity is working and our computers are up to date and is functioning as effectively and as efficiently as possible. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to please do so. If you have questions, you can contact me or the DTMB help desk, and they'll be more than happy to help you. Last but not least, the county maps. are out and we sent them in the archives. We have a couple more places to deliver those maps as relates to the county maps, but they are almost completely distributed. If you have any questions, I can take them at this time.
Are there any questions from the commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much, Executive Director Woods. There is a legal liaison report. Without objection, I will ask our legal liaison, Commissioner Steve Lett, to provide his report. Please proceed, Commissioner Lett.
Thank you. Everybody should have received, or if you haven't, it's in your inbox now probably, the brief that has been filed by Baker in response to the original first brief by the AG, the plaintiff. Also a response from AG. If you haven't looked at Baker's response brief, it's about 60 pages. It's a lot of reading. However, I would, if you want to know what the case is about, what our position's about, and why, that's a very good brief to read. It sets out what the issues are, what our position is, what their position is, why we ought to win, why they should lose. In fact, what I said to Baker, if I was AG, I would change the name and put AG's name on it and submit it, because it was really a good brief. There's a possibility that we could prevail on certain parts of our request for summary disposition. Our attorneys do not feel that we will prevail on the whole thing. In other words, that the judge would dismiss the case, the judges would dismiss the case at this stage. And for the same reason, they don't feel that AG will be successful in getting a summary judgment motion to prevail. It's just these types of cases are not ones that are subject to summary judgment because they're so fact specific. In other words, in order to prevail on a summary judgment, there can be no reasonable question that one side or the other should win. There's no factual, there could be no factual development that would change the outcome. Well, in these cases, there's all kinds of factual developments that have to be made. The hearing is coming up July 13th or 14th, I believe. Edward, 13th? 13th in Kalamazoo. I will attend, and I believe Cynthia is attending. Is that correct, Cynthia? Anybody can come. I see MC going like that, so maybe he's going to be there. Yeah. I don't know if anybody else is. Raise your hand. Rebecca's going to be there. Mm-hmm. So MC, you can prepare the sign so we can demonstrate out in front of the court. So that's about it. I would expect in this case that they usually set time limits. Not usually, they set time limits for how long you can argue. It would not be surprising that those time limits would go by the boards, and it'll be be a lengthy argument. I will, Anthony asked us a question, and I'll ask you, Anthony, can I address that question regarding the Alabama case?
Oh, please do.
Well, Anthony, if you've been following, Alabama was in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says that the district that Alabama provided, which they basically jammed everybody into all minorities into one district and cut down potential 2 districts for minorities to 1, that was a violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And it took Justice Roberts to vote with the liberals in order to do that. Anthony's question is, does that affect this case? I think that was your question anyway, Anthony. And my answer is not really. We didn't, while we changed districts, we didn't put everybody in Detroit. And so it's a different situation. And historically, Michigan has not been on the Fed's radar for voting rights violations, as a lot of the southern states. So I think that has a lot to do with it. So we will see, but the Alabama case is again fact specific to its own situation, and I don't believe it's going to have a lot of value to us, other than it reinforces Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. So the thought process prior to the decision was that this would have given the court an opportunity to further eviscerate the Voting Rights Act, and that didn't happen. So it was 5-4 decision. Obviously, you had 4 conservatives that vote in lockstep on most of this, and they got Roberts to come over to the what would be considered the liberal side and upholding the Voting Rights Act. So those are my comments. I don't know if Rebecca took a look at it. If you have any further comments, or if anybody took a look at it, you got any comments?
I have no comments. I'm going to leave all the comments to the court for what they're going to decide to do.
That's scary.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments? Thank you, Commissioner Lett. Let's move on to the MDOS updates. Without objection, I will ask either Mike Brady or Sarah Reinhardt from the Michigan Department of State if they have an update. Hearing no objection, please proceed, Ms. Reinhardt.
No updates from MDOS today. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to correspondence. If any was available, we received it in advance of our meeting today, along with any written public comments to the commissioners. Future agenda items, if there are any future agenda items the commissioners would like to have added, please bring them up now. Commissioner Zatella.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if everybody has heard this, but Anthony has accepted a position as the Deputy Director of Michigan Voices. And I just think as a commission, we might want to put on the agenda for next meeting to evaluate whether that's appropriate and allowed under our code of conduct, because they are a progressive organization. We are still in the middle of litigation. We are potentially going to be mapping again. And I'm just concerned about whether that could potentially be perceived as, potentially being an undue influence. So I think as a commission, we need to evaluate that and determine if it's consistent with our code of conduct.
Could you ensure that that's on the agenda, Executive Director Woods? Thank you, Commissioner Zatella. Are there any other future agenda items? Okay. Announcements. Are there any announcements? If any commissioner has an announcement, please raise your hand. Commissioner Lang, do you have an announcement?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, good. Let's move on to adjournment. As the items on the agenda are completed and the commission has no further business, a motion to adjourn is in order. May I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion from Commissioner Lett and a second from Commissioner Wagner. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed, raise your hand and say nay. Okay, great. The ayes prevail. The meeting is adjourned at 11:22 a.m. Thank you.